For landlords, by landlords. The Rent Perfect Podcast with David Pickrum.
Hey, today is a big day. We are going to talk about two types of background checks that can ruin you, okay?
We love background checks around here.
We love background checks.
That's our gig. So.
And but there are two types out there that I really want to educate on today. And Scott, I mean, we've got a career of doing these background checks, and I'm sure once I say a few of these things, the stories
they're going to come out, I promise.
Boom,
yeah,
right?
They're there, yeah.
20-something years worth of stories. Here we go. But the first background check is, the one that will ruin you, is the background check you do yourself. Okay?
Yeah, self-administered.
Self-administered. Right? I mean, I'm probably a long-term landlord because I know I'm not a fix and flipper. I'm not a fix and flipper because I'm not good at certain things.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And yet so many landlords out there think that I don't need to do it. My gut feeling is the best, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I've had some issues in the past and I'm compassionate and I forgive people, right? Or I flat don't know who's even applying because I don't have the tools to even see their identity and who they really are.
Right.
I don't have the tools to see what their real name is, what their date of birth is, right?
Yeah. Do you see the sparkle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is reminding me of something. So.
Okay.
I mean, this is maybe 10, 15 years ago. I was in front of this is a Fortune 500 company that everybody knows, and I was doing a presentation to some of their contract labor, right, that was coming on board, and we were going to be doing the background checks for some of their
Okay, so this is more of an employment.
Yeah,
right.
But let me, this sets the stage for that, right?
Okay.
So as I'm presenting to about 30, 35 companies that represent thousands of contractors, a gentleman in the back kind of raises his hand. He says, "I don't need to do your background checks." And I'm like, I'm a little taken. I go, "Oh, well, this isn't really an option, but why not?" And he's like, "I'm from Chicago. I do my own background checks." And I'm like, "Well, what process do you use?" He's like, "I'm from Chicago. I can read people." And he's like, "There's no way we're doing background checks on my guys." And I'm like, "Well, sir, I respectfully disagree because you work for a corporation who says you're doing them, right?" But it was an interesting conversation. So no joke. After doing this presentation, the next morning I wake up, and I believe I called you. I flipped on this.
I remember this.
I flipped on the 6 a.m. news, and guess whose face is the lead story of the 6 a.m. news here in Phoenix, Arizona? This individual.
You're a Chicago guy.
Mr. Chicago. Mr. I don't need background checks. Don't be doing a background check on me. Well, he was arrested. He was the kingpin of the largest escort business, illegal escort business,
right?
Prostitution ring, in Phoenix ever.
Right.
And here this guy is, he's the kingpin of it from Chicago. And I'm just like, oh yeah, you don't want background checks done because you know what you're up to,
you're
right?
You're going to get popped.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the guy who's the expert at this,
right.
but he's also the criminal. So
right.
We're not accusing any of our landlords of being criminals. You're all upstanding citizens.
Right. But he knew that a good background check by private investigators
is going to pop him.
Is he's done.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So he figured, oh shoot,
yeah.
How am I going to get ahead of this and do whatever? So, so I remember that story. And interesting.
I did love calling that corporate manager that morning as soon as their hours opened up and said, "Did you see the news last night?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, interesting, right? I mean, just very ironic that he was the fighter.
Right.
So.
Right. But, let's roll that over to us landlords.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we are running a big ring or
no,
anything, but a lot of us will say, I have that gut feeling. Right. I mean, the reality is that I talk about this all the time. The person who just got evicted needs somewhere to live. Do you think they're going to come to you, be a jerk, and be like, "Yeah, I need a place to live now. Just give me the keys"? They are going to be as sweet,
right,
as kind. They're going to pull the wool over your eyes because they know that's the only way they can get in. If you do the background,
right,
they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Right?
Desperation will make them really professional, right? It's going to make them the best applicant you've ever met.
And I will tell you, the meanest person in the world can be the nicest person in the world for a short amount of time. It's just a fact, right? So when you're dealing with people, you think, oh, they're this nice all the time, and man, there's no way they'd have an issue. And I'd really want to help them, And so the background check you're either refusing to do or the one that's not super thorough is going to get you in a lot of trouble because people get desperate. Mm-hmm. They get desperate, right? No one wants to be homeless. So I'm going to try every trick in the book to be nice and then, give you information that just quite doesn't add up. We see this a lot with paycheck stubs, right? With income records. Yep. We see this a lot with Social Security numbers and maybe using their kids or changing the numbers, changing their first name to the last name if that works, or using their middle name. I mean, there are so many things that people do that if you don't have the right background check from a professional, then you are going to make a wrong decision. Now, with Rent Perfect, we're talking $44 that the applicant pays
Yeah, the applicant pays. This still doesn't.
What are you saving? Why wouldn't you have the professional, not only go through your local eviction records, your local city, ordinances and your petty thefts and your misdemeanors, then go up into your county courts and get your felonies, and then go into U.S. District Court, get your, federal records,
right,
and then go across all the states that people have lived in. $44. Why are you even thinking about doing your own?
Average eviction is several thousand, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if sometimes that we just get lazy and we're just like, oh, yeah, they're good people. And I just don't, And what does it take, 4 to 6 hours for us to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually kind of amazing when you hear what we do in 4 to 6 hours, right?
Even the best internet search out there, I'm not picking a search engine, but even the best one has major limitations when it comes to this kind of information.
Okay, well, you're rolling us right into number 2.
Yeah.
The number 2, second background check that's going to get you in a lot of trouble is an instant background check. Now, I'm sorry, Zillow, apartments.com, these are all instant background checks where you put in the information and you get the information back right away.
Yep.
Okay? I will tell you there is no database out there that has all the records of the United States in it. That is all current and up to date. They're usually 6 months to a year old, and they only contain half of the data available in America. So if you're getting hey, here's their name, here's their social, boom, no records found right away, I'm telling you, you are missing something. Now listen, pay attention, because what they tell you is no records found. They didn't say no criminal history.
Right.
So when you look at those reports, it says no records found. Really what they're telling you is there are no records found in our database. Doesn't mean there couldn't be in other databases, in court databases, right?
Well, and if you read the fine print disclaimer, it puts they tell you that, right?
Go read it, right?
Yeah.
But who does?
Yeah, right.
Who does? So,
yeah.
Hey, they make it super easy, super simple. Push a button, get instant results. It sounds great. But doing it yourself and trusting instant background checks are going to get you in trouble. Guys, we're not living in the 1990s anymore, the 2000s. There is some serious economic issues out there. I can tell you within the last year, the applicants that are coming through my properties are not as strong as they were 2, 3, 4, 5 pre-COVID. They're not as strong. There is a lot of problems out there, and it's just the sign of the times. But I'm not in the business of being compassionate and helping people. I'm in the business of helping you make money for your family, for your retirement. Okay, so I'm going to sound callous here because I need to make sure that people using Rent Perfect have a successful investment.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a successful investment and I didn't protect you from that, then you're not ever going to look to Rent Perfect again to protect you. A private investigation background check, I can tell you, is needed more now than ever before. I've turned away in this last rental. I went through 4 and 5 people before I found the one that matched my criteria.
Yeah, your new business partner.
I've never gone through 4 and 5 people. It's maybe one, maybe 2. But, and I don't think it's any different here in Arizona than it is in the entire nation. So we have got a situation where this market is changing, and we have a lot of people out there struggling. I'm sorry for that. I wish them the best, but I'm in the good housing industry, not in the Section 8, not in that industry, right? I am in the background check, make a little bit of money industry for ourselves. So might be a little callous on this one, Scott, but the truth is don't let those 2 background checks get you in trouble. Do the full investigative check. It's $44. Your applicant pays for it. I don't mean to be a sales pitch right now for Rent Perfect, but I'm just trying to protect investors out there.
For sure.
Got on the soapbox a little bit. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all right. No,
the dad came out in me, kind of the
protector.
Passionate protector.
Yeah.
Just kind of came out in me today, and so please forgive me, but we certainly appreciate you as clients, and we want your success. That is a big reason why Scotty and I and all of our investigators come to work every single day. Go ahead and like us and subscribe to the podcast. We certainly appreciate it, and until next time, continue to rent perfect.